Hola clase, buenas noches. As I had promised, I'm going to talk to you in this video about telling time. Okay, because I know that some of you have been out missing school, and I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to learn the lesson even though you weren't physically there. So you might want to pause this video, grab a notebook, okay, take some notes, and I will do the lesson on Zoom. So first things first, okay, we are talking about la hora. La hora is what they call time. Literally, hora means hour. And when they ask for the time, they ask, ¿Qué hora es? What hour is it? ¿Qué hora es? And you guys know this because you know that K is asking what. So what hour is it, literally? We have been talking in class about el horario escolar. And el horario escolar is your school schedule, okay? Horario is the word for schedule. It has the word hora in it, okay? Because it's something hourly. So an important question that you're going to have to address when you're talking about el horario escolar is what time certain classes are at. And so I'm sure you're all familiar with this symbol right here. Where have you seen this symbol? This is the @ sign for social media or for an email, okay? Just like your NSD accounts, you know that that literally means at. Well, in Spanish, at is called a. Okay, it's just not as fancy and curly. So when you're talking about your different classes you have and at what time they are, you would ask somebody, ¿A qué hora es? And then whatever your class you want to talk about, all you're doing is adding the a in front. ¿A qué hora es la clase de español? ¿A qué hora es la clase de matemáticas? ¿A qué hora? At what time? ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? Okay, so these are the two questions we're going to focus on. Write those down. So let's address this one first. If you're looking at your watch, which of course I took off, so pretend you have a watch. You guys probably don't even wear watches anymore. You use your teléfonos celulares to tell the time. Okay, so you're looking at your cell phone to tell the time. To answer what time it is, okay, you can say es la una for 1 o'clock. Sorry, I speak faster than I write. Okay. Es la una means it's 1. Why do I have a little asterisk here? Because the rest of the hours aside from 1 o'clock are a little different. Es la una is kind of special. Okay, so es la una means it's 1 o'clock. But in order to tell me it's 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, you're not going to say es la. you're going to say son las. And then you're going to fill in whatever hours we're talking about. So if you want to say it's 2, son las dos. If you want to say it's 3, son las tres. If you want to say 10 o'clock, son las 10. You fill in the blank with whatever the hour is. Okay, whatever number it is. So, es la una, it's 1 o'clock. Son las for all the rest of the hours. Okay. Now, going back to the other question that we talked about, talking about not just what time it is right now when you look at, when you ask somebody to look at their watch or phone. When you want to discuss what time is something at, a qué hora es la clase de inglés, or a qué hora es la práctica de fútbol, soccer practice. Okay, asking for things. A qué hora es el baile? What time's the dance at? All right. You're going to answer using, how do we say at in Spanish, guys? At is a. So you're going to say, instead of es la una, now you're going to say a la una. A la una means what? At 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock. And like I said, there's an asterisk here because 1 o'clock is different than all the rest of the hours. Okay. So how would you say the rest of the hours? You would say a las, and then whatever hour you're on. At 5 would be a las 5, sorry, 5. At 7 o'clock would be a las 7. Okay, you just fill in the blank with whatever hour you're on. That's how to take care of the hourly part of time. Okay. However, time isn't always that clear cut. We have to deal with minutes. And so the other day in class, I had students draw an analog clock. So like a round clock face, just like this. Here's my clock. And divide it in half. That's not perfect. And that's actually pretty bad. I'm trying to fix it. Slightly better. In Spanish, they have what you call la hora positiva, positive time, and la hora negativa. We learned in class la hora positiva. That's the easier part of time. That's like time how we tell it in English. So we're going to talk about the right-hand side of the clock from 1 minute all the way through to the half point. So minutes 1 through 30. Okay. Minutes 1 through 30 simply just get added to whatever the hour is. So, for example, if it's 2:10, well, that's la hora positiva. That's positive time. How do we know? because 10 minutes falls on this side of the clock. It's not past 30, guys. Okay, so in order to express this, you already know how to tell your hour. How would you say it's 2 o'clock? You'd say, son las dos, right? And then you would just add the time on, you say, and 10. And when we learned our larger numbers, you should know how to say and in Spanish. And is y. Just like that expression we learned with greetings. And you, y2. Okay. So all you need to do on the positive sides when you have minutes 30 or less is just add the minutes on. So son las 2:10. Okay, let's try another one. How about it is 11:08. Okay. Still under 30 minutes. Okay, so in order to say it's 11, you would say son las 11, right? It's 11 and 8, y ocho. So son las 11 y ocho. Okay. That's how you tell time, positive time. Okay, anything up through 30 minutes. We did discuss in Spanish how a lot of times they use military time and they don't really use AM and PM, because if you are familiar with military time, you know that they use 24-hour clock. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then at 1 in the afternoon, they call it 13 o'clock. They keep going 13 o'clock, 14 o'clock, 15, etc., which is a little different for some of us. So we need to find a fancy way to work around that, because I'm not going to teach you military time in the class. So instead, I gave you guys a set of AM and PM vocabulary terms. Okay, so we all know that AM signifies the morning. It starts at midnight and then it goes through until noon. The second it turns noon, it turns into PM. So what you're going to say is you're going to call it de la. And do you remember how to say morning? It's the same thing as tomorrow. De la mañana. Okay, you just tack that on the end of your time. So for example, if it is 2:10 in the morning, son las 2:10 de la mañana. You just put this on the very end to signify that you're talking about morning time. Okay. PM is a little trickier, and I'm going to explain why. There are 2 PMs that we're going to use in Spanish. I would use full-size paper, but I have a cat on my lap. I can't. So, like I said, PM time starts at noon. Okay, so this PM is going to start at noon, and it's going to go up until 8-ish. This is more subjective because I don't know when you think the evening starts. People have all different opinions of this depending on when their day ends and when their family eats dinner. Okay, some people think, oh, when the sun goes down, that's evening. So from noon to 8-ish, okay, we're going to call this de la. And maybe you know, maybe you can sense it. How do you say good afternoon? You say buenas tardes. So de la tarde. You're just saying in the afternoon. So if we're not talking about 2:10 a.m., we're talking about 2:10 p.m. Son las 2:10 de la tarde. Put de la tarde at the end. Okay, and so the next p.m. is when we slide into the evening. So we're going to say from 8-ish through to 11:59, right before midnight. You're going to call it, let's see, we have de la mañana in the morning, de la tarde, and can you guess the last one? De la noche. Okay, we have morning, noon, and night, basically, de la noche. Okay, so if I'm talking about 11:08 at night, son las 11:08 de la noche. That is as far as we have gotten with la hora. Tomorrow in class, we're going to learn the other side of the clock, okay, which is the left-hand side. I don't know my left from my right. Yes, the left-hand side, which is minutes 31 through 59. It's a little different. It just involves a little bit of math, okay? So to review, I'm hoping that you were able to take notes, even if you had to pause. I'm not sure if I was going too fast. We have learned that they call time in Spanish la hora. We learned two very important questions when dealing with time. We learned que hora es, means what time is it? And we also learned, because we're talking about schedules in school, a que hora es, at what time is such and such a class, okay? Que hora es, a que hora, because if you realize the a is in there, a means at. So that's an at question. At what time is this? Okay. We learned that the first hour of the clock is special. In both cases, it's not said like the rest of the hours. So for it is one, you say es la una. But for the rest of the hours, 2 through 12, because they're plural, you say son las dos, son las tres, son las cuatro, son las 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So also, when you're talking in terms, of at a certain time, one is still special. A la una differs from all the other hours at 1 o'clock, a la una, but when it's at other times, other hours, a las dos, a las tres, a las cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12, a las. It's a singular versus plural type of grammar rule. Okay. And then when we added on minutes, we learned that you can only add on minutes up through 30. And to add minutes on, you just use the word and in Spanish, which is y. Okay. So if you wanted to say it's 5:05, son las 5:05, 5 and 5. We say 5:05, they say 5 and 5 minutes. Son las 5:05. And then last but not least, getting around military time, we have some AM and PMs to share with you. Just tack these on the end so that you can be more specific about your time of day. De la mañana in the morning, de la tarde in the afternoon, we'd say until 8-ish. Remember, we talked about the Spanish schedule before and how they're like late night people. what do you call them? Night owls, where they basically have a later dinner time because they have siesta in the middle. It kind of cuts the day in half. So generally in Latino countries, they don't eat dinner until like 10 or 11 at night. And then PM, after 8ish, or starting at 8ish up through until midnight, de la noche. So those are your notes, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask me. Otherwise, the homework, I think it's numero 18 that I have on the board. If you've watched this video and taken notes, you have all the resources that are necessary, necessary in order to complete that assignment. And I hope to see you when you get back. All right, so we'll talk to you later. Have a good night.